Welcome to the Trade Brigade end of day routine for Friday, August 21st. We'll get much deeper into the analysis on the main channel, but for now, updating some levels and some quick commentary. We did end up closing underneath the lower bound of this week's expected move underneath the previous low of the bull flag as well. Not quite a full retest of the previous all-time high, so let's see what's on tap for the coming weeks worth of trade as it relates to expected move. 7 days till expiration. This is next Friday. About $10.33 on top of and underneath about 765.72. That brings us a bottom point of approximately 755.39 and a top left point of 776.49 here. We'll bring this to the end of the month and we'll update this level as well. Make it a little bit brighter on the screen by going 20% opacity, and we'll go back to the chart. There's the expected move for the week. Let's dim back last week's expected move by updating our color here, and we'll keep moving forward as we typically do. Again, really good feedback in the last video. I appreciate you guys who comment on that and continue to say, oh yeah, this is good, keep doing it. So we've got 776.49 on the top side, 776.49 on the top side, and this goes out to what, the 23rd? We could just say 23rd, and there we have it. And on the downside, this goes to, we said 755.39, and that goes to the 23rd, and there we have it, our updated expected move. Let's drop it down to the hourly chart, and let's just take a closer glance at where the updated levels should technically be. I think the levels are doing fairly well for now. I don't want to get too level happy and continue to like over index on both of these levels in here. I would say what we could probably do is actually remove this level and just simplify and say, you know, things will improve over 767.50 for, you know, call it inverted head and shoulders neckline on the hourly. You'd also be reclaiming the daily 8, the daily 5 SMA if that were to be taking place. So kind of like that level as is. This right shoulder makes sense as Friday's low, the inside bar low. It's also the overnight low, if you were paying attention, on the session from Thursday. So that checks out. I like these levels. Let's check in here with our intraday anchored VWAPs and just see if we need to update anything. We could start to anchor a new VWAP to the low of this move, which of course would be Thursday. So if we just come in here and say TV anchored VWAP, let's grab that. It's going to be at the bottom of the stack here. Thursday, of course, would be 2026, 08, and 20, and we'll anchor that from 9:30. Just going to make that a dimmer gray level, just that way it doesn't become overbearing. Let's save that as a set. I guess I'll do it this way. So there it is, that gray level right in there. We did close above it on Friday, which is pretty cool. Let's go studies, save study set. I don't know why this isn't saving, but it should save as intraday anchored VWAPs. There we go. Save, replace, awesome, great. That is all set, and we are good to go. Actually, we are not good to go. We don't need that label up there. Let's come in here. Let's go into the study, turn this to no, and there we go. And let's just overwrite that as a study set. Intraday anchored VWAPs, good. All right, let's go on over to our Qs daily timescale and see what's going on from this perspective now that we have updated levels for the spiders. What do we see happening here? Let's update the expected move. We begin by looking at those 7-day to expiration options. It's looking at about a $15.05 expected move. It's going to bring us a bottom right point of about 698.39 and a top point of about 28 typing. 0.49 on the top side. Looks good. This goes out to that 23rd. No, this goes out to the 30th. This goes out to the 23rd. We'll update the color and we'll keep moving forward here. Just making sure we can get the job done with our levels as we should. So there's the expected move. Let's update our upper bound, which once again is going to be at 728.49. This goes to the 23rd. This goes to the 23rd. Looking good there, and let's do the bottom as well. That was, what was it? Once again, 698.39. 698.39. And this goes to the 23rd, and we keep moving forward by dimming this, and we just rip right into the levels up next. Let's go with about 50% opacity here, and we're good. In terms of the daily, no standoff levels for now. I honestly think we'll be doing just fine with the levels we have, but let's go to the hourly chart. Just double check. We could probably refine this. You know, actually, I still like it as a zone, as maybe crazy as that sounds. If you're going to, I don't want to say this, if you're going to refine it at all, I would maybe just remove the 714.25 spot, but honestly, it's the 50 SMA. Let's just do this, and we'll rock with that level, maybe even bring it down. Oh my goodness. We'll bring it down by just a little bit. We'll go 715.5, midpoint of the range. That's the opening print of Friday. I think that's the spot. That is the spot. We've got the overhead gap here from Monday into Tuesday. We're looking good with this gap underneath us from the follow-through day low. So honestly, not much in terms of level updates for the NASDAQ side. This is still the junk drawer. We're still supporting over pretty critical support, if I don't say so myself. Daily 20 SMA, the follow-through day low, and even closing right at the daily 50. It would be ideal to kind of have an inside day and up into the beginning stages of next week. But that's it for the NASDAQ. Let's jump on over to the IWM. Let's begin by updating the expected move as we've been doing here. 7-day options give us about $5.50. So the bottom point on that would be about 294.46. And the top point would be about 305.46. There we go. Let's go ahead and update these dates like such and the color. And then we're rocking right on into the next part. So that goes to 20% opacity. Good. Going back over here, let's dim back the prior and update the cyan levels next. Here we go. Looking good at 50% opacity, rock on. And let's just update this and say the top side was 305.46. Good. 23rd, 23rd. And we update the bottom point as well. And that was at 294.46. There we go. 23rd, 23rd. We'll check in on the hourly chart for some updated levels. We probably need some more downside supports mapped out underneath us, I would have to imagine here. So let's just go to the hourly. Let's see what we're working with. I do like the unfilled gap above us still. The level probably needs to get bumped up. I like 300 as a psychological number, but the actual gap close is actually like $300.35 if we want to be precise. So let's do that. And we will leave 299.5. And I think we just need to scout a little bit of support underneath us. You can see that we do have some old levels that we can just activate, which always is nice and simple. We can activate there, and then there's got to be something. Really? There's nothing at the top of that level? That's kind of insane. The easiest way for me to see these is just to go extended hours. This is the next level to the downside. Beyond that, it seems a little far away. It seems like we should have another level in there, but let's go back to this hourly. Let's just double check. I can see where this old level is coming from, but honestly, you know, I'm a bit hard pressed to not have this right in here. I mean, very cleanly, resistance, 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 broke out through it, and have not retested it since. So, you know, I don't hate that. Kind of right where it's at, actually. If anything, maybe a little bit lower. Let's make that 50 cents. And then we'll probably go dim gray on that, just because it's not the most major level. This is certainly much more important. Notice the major support, right? The major resistance from back over here. So I do like keeping that 292.50s, but maybe a dim gray line there is not half bad. This one probably gets adjusted slightly lower. Nah, this overrides the importance of this little flag. Does it? I mean, we're splitting hairs here. We're splitting hairs here. I'll just do it. I'll bump it down the additional 25 cents. No problem. No problem. It still encapsulates all these prior lows. All set. Okay, so that works for me over here. I could certainly see the head and shoulders pattern. I get it. We'll talk again much more about analysis in the main channel video, but for now, those are the level updates to bring to the Russell side of the market. Let's go on let's go from the broad market into components, aka our sectors. So what do we have in the sectors? Nice close of the DRAM gap above via the gap up this morning. So this level is probably just going to become... Yeah, let's go to the hourly chart to do this. Let's just make sure we can see it with as much clarity as possible. It's the correct level. See this level from back over here? It's very, very faint on the screen, but it's the correct level. It honestly belongs yellow now. And then this kind of just goes dim gray. This goes just like that. That's the level update there to bring. And I think we kind of keep it like that. Not much to actually update here on that DRAM in terms of new numbers to have on the screen. So that's fine. That works for me. Moving along to, we already did the spiders. Let's go to the XLE. Energy sector. All-time high just needs to get bumped, of course, up here, which is fine. We could just do that. A little thinkorswim hack is you could just press the space bar, click and drag a level, and you'll duplicate it. Pretty cool. Let's just make this dim, though, while we're at it. Let's not just hide the name. Let's make it dim. There we go. And that stays as is. Really not much to update on energy. Nice consolidation out here at the highs. Let's go on over to healthcare. Really strong stuff this week. I mean, incredible. The Moderna vaccine, of course, curing cancer. So the gap just moves slightly below us now. That's really all there is to this chart. This probably just go, let's just activate that. Let's reference the gap below. That's fine. I don't want to get too level happy on sector level charts. So that's fine. We just want to know where the gap is underneath us. Are we closing it? Are we above the previous resistance? That's fine. No need to get too level happy on sectors. XLF starting to break down here a little bit. This looks like a short, right? You've got some overhead supply here, inverted hammer, moving average stack. So a little lower wouldn't hurt. I think the levels are fine in terms of what we're looking at. Let's zoom way out, right? Previous all-time highs, the next major support below. This is fine. No real update to those price points. XLI for industrials, overhead range breaking down, fine. Again, no need to overanalyze a balance range here. You've got major support at the range low. Let's just leave that be. I think there's a little bit of a level here that could be dim and gray. We'll do a little something like that, but once again, let's not overanalyze. The only reason I'm turning that one on is because it represents this major low right here. Let's move forward to this XLP. Another one that's just been so brutal for so long. I mean, where are we going on this thing? Nowhere fast, that's for darn sure. No level updates here. Let's move forward. XLY. Really no level updates over here either. I mean, this is just the range. That's all that's left of it, right? So let's just maybe go to the hourly and double check that this is relevant. Yeah, nice consolidation above. I'll leave that dim gray line on there right there. Nice consolidation above on Friday. Let's go to the XLB, back to a daily chart though to start. This looks great for a potential breakout. I mean, talk about ascending triangle from really high time frame perspective. Not that material has moved the needle for the market, but I mean, it just looks bullish, right? It looks like it could potentially do that. So that's fine. I like those levels as is. The all-time high is technically not true. We could do a little something like this. That's the true all-time high up there. Let's say that's 54.15. And let's leave that double, and then let's take this and just hide the name. There we go. Now we have a little bit better of a reference point, right? And this also probably just goes, oh, geez. I mean, round numbers only, right? Rule number 2 up here in the office. Shoes off, number 1. Round numbers only, number 2. Let's move forward to the XLC. What's going on with these comms? Nothing. Going nowhere fast. Smack through the middle of the range. No update to the levels. Mag 7 ETF. Bull flag up here. Looks absolutely phenomenal. Let's see up and out. Let's see up and out. Let's go to the hourly. If this is going to be a double bottom, your neckline's still true there at 67.60s. This looks fine. This looks fine. I would not make any major updates to the levels over here. Maybe, just maybe. Looking at the scene of the crime of this breakdown day, we might be able to bump that up 5 pennies, right? What are we doing? Splitting hairs? Come on. 68.25, no problem. All right, that works for me over here. Looking fine. No other updates to bring. Let's go real estate. I mean, where are we going? Nowhere fast. Technology. No updates to the levels. I mean, as much as the market was kind of feeling like it was all over the place, I mean, you went nowhere. You really went nowhere on this XLK. You went right into the bottom end of this range, the follow-through day low, supporting the moving average stack. If we can go over this high, it's pretty constructive to try to get into that gap above us, right? It's going over to this IGV. Looks great. Again, like sometimes our job is easy. We don't have to do a bunch of massaging to levels. This is fine. Nice little consolidation over the highs. Probably goes back up here, right? Makes sense. All set. Really nothing to read too deep into over here. The levels are perfect. It's going over this XLU. Utilities getting smacked. I wonder why. Kind of being facetious. It's interest rates, of course, but making a new low, that's kind of compelling. Let's just make sure we have some downside levels potentially ready. All-time high can stay. I mean, we're probably not going here this week, so let's just dim that back to black. We've done this exercise a number of times in previous episodes, right? Where we just kind of push those levels back. We don't get rid of them because it makes our job easy, but let's make sure they're not offering too much visual noise. This major low goes on there. Let's call that at 70 flat. That's an easy one. And then this major low is really after that. What's that going to get bumped to? 20 cents? Sure. 41.20 works for me. Don't want to get too level happy to the downside. I really don't want to see utilities fall off of a cliff, but those are the numbers that exist underneath us. SMH, what's going on over here? Anything good and noteworthy? This interaction looks like it might need a little bit of reevaluation right here. Let's check in on that. Let's go to the hourly chart. And then, you zoom into the hourly and suddenly you remind yourself like, no, actually it doesn't. It doesn't need any reevaluation. Look at the consolidation on these days. It's right there. It's at that level. I mean, if anything, we might bump that up just to this high. See that interaction point right there? That's the level I would probably go to. That's going to be around 564s. So, it's not a huge adjustment, but we'll go 564 on that. If you clear 564, it would naturally be clearing the daily 20 SMA in orange. That's a little bit better. It's closer to the opening print here. It's the low of this bar. It's the hourly interactions over here. You could chop it and go up and out, or you could bear flag it and go down and out. in which case gap fill reversal becomes compelling. But once again, more of the analysis components over on the main channel. This probably just goes away as a dotted line. We don't need to be redundant there. Wow, that is a tongue twister. So all set through the sectors. Our job is going swimmingly. It's going over to these core list of company names. Then we'll fire up the scanner. The scanner is the most fun part anyways. So, let's leave some time for that. What do we see with NVIDIA? First of all, earnings this week, so please be aware of that. Obviously, this gap continues to close a little bit. Let's come in here and make this a line like this. There's just a little bit of gap that exists underneath us now. That goes to 25 perhaps. And we go yellow. What's the true low of that bar? Low is 214.50. 214.50. My eyes deceive me. I'm just looking right here. See that says L 214.50 for anybody who's not familiar. You hover the cursor on Thinkorswim. That is the low. L is for low, of course, of the candle. So 214.50 on the nose. Right there. That's the low. Mission accomplished. Job complete. What do we have underneath us, though, for potential interface under the gap close? Like if the market comes in here, what do we do with this? Let's go to the hourly chart. Kind of see if we have any old levels that we could pick off. I mean, there's definitely something here. Right, we do something like that. That's old dim and gray. There should be a level here. That's also going to be dim and gray. I don't want to get too level happy ahead of earnings, but just a little bit of a roadmap. We'll readjust, of course, on Wednesday after the close. And then your final point goes down here. That's going to be a firm gray line. So just activating some downside levels. Not thinking, maybe we go there on earnings, maybe we don't. Just kind of getting those lifted to the forefront as in if we see some downside come into play. Moving along, Apple. What else is going on here through the core list of companies? Anything on the hourly chart in terms of level updates to bring? The gap is still doing the gap above. We can remove that. Don't need to be redundant there. This makes sense. 310 is still important, and that checks out. Yeah, everything's all good here on Apple. If anything, I might move this slightly higher from like 310 to about 311. Is now the spot. Reason I'm doing that is you get a better interaction there. It's also still the highs of these prior bars and the highs of this bar. So 311 is that topside reference, just about $1, a smidge in the upward direction. Let's go on over to Microsoft. What do we see over here? We're just going to maybe keep it on the hourly chart. This is fine, I believe. Yeah, I would maybe start to bring this level up just a little bit, right? Because things will improve when and if we can clear the high from whatever day that was, Wednesday. Over Wednesday's high, that's going to be about 487s. Let's remove that and say over 487s. 487. Still going to go dim gray on that. It's not a major lower high, but if we could clear that, that would be more compelling. And we'll keep the gap underneath us. This is fine. No real updates beyond that. Let's go on over to Amazon. Amazon's starting to find a little bit of a floor in here, it looks like, around this... and if this floor breaks, that obviously opens the door for more downside. But 258.25 is going to fly there. And this probably doesn't actually, this is going to go like this. Let's say this is earnings ER low. I should say DL, day low. Earnings day low. That works for me. Show that on the right. It can't be yellow anymore because it doesn't represent the gap. And then this, honestly, is just going to go yellow because that represents the gap. We'll get rid of this old level here and we're good. That is it for Amazon, right? You continue underneath, you're into the earnings gap, and if you get back above that, a little bit more compelling. So, I tried Amazon this week actually on Wednesday. Wednesdays, it was trying to lift over the inside day high, but couldn't get it to stick as it comes back down into the 20. So next up, Google. What's going on over here? Looks like it wants to get out of this range to the upside. I don't even think we bother subdividing at 343 or whatever that is. Let's go to the hourly chart. It's not even worth subdividing anymore. I don't know about you, but I haven't been really interested in trading this Google through here at all. So remove that. Let the market chop through here, and it just becomes a bit more compelling when and if we reclaim 347.25. Let's go on back to a daily chart. That's it. We went nowhere this week. We went absolutely nowhere. Broadcom is going to need a little bit of work. We don't really need this big gap above us anymore, which is disappointing. We'll see if earnings puts it back in play, but we don't need any of this visual noise. We're just so far off of it after that Marvel headline earlier this week. Let's do something that looks like this, this, and this. And what else can we see in here? We'll leave some of those upside levels, but not a bunch. And what about the downside? We might be covered. We might have what we need. Anything else that I'm missing? Let's just turn one more level on to the downside. going to be over here. That's a gap. That's actually a gap. See how it says G? It's a reminder that that's a gap, which means the gap closes way down here. Oh my goodness. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Gap. Yelling at myself to remember it's a gap. Wow. That's a large unfilled gap below us. I got that backwards, didn't I? It's still a gap nonetheless. This is also a gap. I missed the first one. If you caught it, shout out to you. But this is problematic, right? We'll talk more about it on the main channel, but talk about a failed move to do that. And now you're going to potentially get overhead supply with an offering. They're raising some debt there, so raising some cash, I should say. Not a good look over here for this Broadcom. We've got some downside references to be kind of wary of, honestly. This thing's getting a little hairy. A little bit hairy. We closed some of the gap above. Notice how the market just rejected that area around 374. Pretty tough. Pretty tough look here for that Broadcom. So this is bearish to me. And I think the levels are fine, but just talk about a disappointing chart. All right, next. Let's not get too bummed out on a Friday night. What's going on over here with Metaverse? Range, no update to the levels. Let it range around. I would prefer to short this thing at the gap close. So 561 and then lower. If it just ranges out and goes lower from here, I think it's still a short. You have a lot of people concerned about this thing because of the lawsuit. So levels are kind of fine. We could dim back some of these levels from way up here and just reduce some visual noise. But I don't think you don't want to overanalyze this for higher. I think it's lower highs and lower. Yeah, we'll leave that top gap on as the top level and kind of leave this off on the downside for now. If this breaks as a bear flag, let's just actually go one more set to the downside if we have anything. There we go. Whatever this is, 485. Just throw that on as a firm level. There we go. If we go substantially lower, that's, what I like to do is have about, this, could that be a midpoint in terms of the levels that are active? Sure. Works for me. We got an equal amount above, equal amount below. MU, what's going on with this Micron? Just can't seem to get this damn thing to stick, which is a little frustrating, but trying still to look at this as a higher low through the count over previous resistance. Again, more analysis on the main channel later, but this gap didn't really do much in terms of favorable outcomes. Yeah, let me actually remove that. Kind of stick with that 960. Yeah, there's something weird. I shouldn't even say weird, but there's something going on here as well. Something going on with this. Don't want it to be overbearing. Let's just make it like that. A sliver of gap remains unfilled up here. I think that's how we leave this chart in terms of updated levels. Really tight action here. Look below and fail. That re-breaks. Could be it for higher. If you're just lower and in here, that's your night underneath the 929 level, which is the key daily higher low hold, right? Why? Because these prior resistance points have to hold that low. Has to be a higher low in the trend count. If you lose it, problematic. Let's go on over to this Tesla. Really nice move today into the gap from earnings. Let's start to dim back some of these older levels that may or may not be in play for this week. I don't think we revisit those lows. Unless, of course, I don't know, Besson could say something crazy. He seems to be pretty active right now in terms of the way he is interfering or intervening, I should say, with some market activity. Let's put this back to a gray, and let's say there's just a sliver of unfilled gap that exists underneath or above us now, excuse me. It's going to be up here in yellow. There it is. And I like that. That works for me. This probably just goes like this. Right? And if we go gap fill reversal, great, pull back, hold in here, that's the spot, right? The breakout spot is the spot to hold with line in the sand there at 342.10. Let's get some upside levels going on as well. Let's just do this. It's always a little easier to see them this way. Throw on that 380. And do we have anything above? We do. 390 can go on as well. And let's check in on that. Yeah, well, maybe go one more. Maybe one more, which would have been right in here. There it is, right? This prior range from in there. Nice breakdown point, but the major range is this. There's some upper levels, but we'll deal with that when and if they're relevant. So I like that for now. That works for me. Moving forward to JP Morgan. Starting to break down a little bit away from the all-time high. Let's see if we can clean up some of these levels. Yes, no, maybe so. This becomes less compelling. We'll remove that and instead firm this up. It'll get promoted to a solid gray line. Good. Range, right? Break from the range. This low has been violated. Nice resistance. It's the correct hourly inflection there. This level, if anything, just comes a little bit lower. That's probably what? Closer to 350 flat. Let's make that 350. Boom. Ooh, too much. Overshot. 350.50. How about that? 350.5. Looking better. And yeah, next downside level checks out being in there. Let's go up to the daily and let's just activate the next downside level. Do a little something like that. We do not need the label on that. Let's say do not show. And that works for me for the upcoming week's worth of trade. Moving forward to AMD, no level updates on this. No level updates. I still think this is one of the worst charts in the semiconductor space right now. Again, more on this on the main channel, but just terrible action through here. I don't even, I wouldn't trust this hammer as far as I could throw it. Let's jump on into the hourly chart. Consolidation, look above and fail on the moving average stack. That looks like a short. Looks like it wants lower. Fails 507, fails 507 on earnings. Gap and go, no closure of the gap above, below the 50-day moving average. This thing just, I don't want to say it sucks, but it kind of sucks. So AMD looking like a potential for bear flag breakdown early this week. And let's just go back to this daily. Yeah, level's fine up and down. If it really starts to accelerate lower, we'll have to throw some more onto the downside. Do we have anything? Oh yeah, we've got stuff back down over here. Let's quickly just brighten up a few of these just to remind ourselves of what's possible. This should be a gap. This will go on in yellow. And the gap closes way over here in yellow as well. As a matter of fact, I don't want to be blinded by these things, so we're just going to make these about, 50% opacity to the downside and 50% opacity over here. We want them on the screen, but they shouldn't be so visually upending that I'm like focused on that primarily. So that works for me. I like the AMD chart as is. Intel, last but not least, this thing also kind of in the category of sucking wind right now. Intel is not getting the job done. This can just go to black. That's fine. Let's call this G for gap. Gap, there we go. Let's make this G as well. Oops, G, there we go, gap, and we'll make this black, push it way back, and that works. Let's just double check our hourly, any level updates in here. No, everything looks okay. This level could probably be reimagined just a little bit. Yep, just a little bit. We're going to bring that down to 91 flat. 91 flat is the spot representing the low of Wednesday. Hourly interface here on Friday. If you really wanted to, you could probably pull out, whatever, 93.50. I don't even want to have that level on my screen because what I would prefer to do is say, okay, let it go counter trend here and then wait for it short there. If I have another level, I'm going to be like, oh, maybe I could long it from A to B. No, I want to just wait for Intel short here against that 95.35. All right, that's the core list of companies all set with our level updates over there. That's always a fun time, but now it's time to jump into our scanner, which in my view is the most fun time. Kind of get to take a look around and see what's moving, what's grooving, what's hot, what's not. Let's take a sip, and then we'll move into our scan based on liquid leader. Filter that like this. Let that load. And see where we go from here. Come on now. Why is it not loading? There it is. NAND just means we don't have 52 days, or 52 weeks, I should say, because it is looking at a, how close are we to the 52-week high? Are we within 10%? Cerebra is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Breaking down under the inside hammer low today. No dice there. Let's get the arrow clicker working. Figures not looking half bad here. You have the IPO opening print reclaim. I think it's just worth keeping an eye on this thing to tighten up over this previous left side peak. So we'll say figure. Let's continue to keep an eye on this over the IPO open at 36. Great. Next. Honeywell Aerospace, no thanks. Klarna Group, no thanks. A lot of ugly stuff out there. What else? This SK Hynix closed really weak. SpaceX looks great. SPCX. More, please. Looking for inside and up on the hammer over IPO forecast. So ideally, you're reclaiming this 135 and trying to work back towards the IPO true open at 150. right? Basically longing the bottom end of the bull flag out of the inside and up hammer, something that looks like that. So I like the look of that chart. At Legion, really strong stuff. Where's the HVC? Way down there. Wow. Could just be a quick check back to this left side high. Really strong stuff. I mean, this is a pie in the sky move. You're 8 times extended from the 50 SMA. That is one heck of an extension, but hard to ignore this thing. Team look below and fails at 166.50. Team LBAF of 166.5 question mark. That looks pretty good. MongoDB, I mean, a lot of software names today actually had really solid pivots off lows. So MDB, still really nice pivot off of the lows. Guardant Health looks good. I'm just going to continue to use this as feedback to hold my LabU position. But like GH, inside hammer over the 8. Come on now. Inside hammer over the 8. 8 EMA. Good feedback for the LabU hold. I should call it a hodl. I typed it wrong, but hodl. Pure, not so good, but this thing needs to chill out. It's got earnings upcoming. Rubric looks great. I mean, it's just still really strong. RBRK, really strong pivot for software names. Good. There's going to be a lot of that stuff. You're going to hear me say the same thing about a lot of cyber names. This Chime still looks great, and a little flag up there. Chime, let's just say keep it on the list. CHYM, keep on watch list. Let's say WL, fine. Twist, strong, not an active new setup, but good feedback for the LabU. ArcG, anyone who's involved in that. Gold name's really ripping. This is a pharma company, Heartflow, huge rip, strong, but it's not a new setup. It's just good feedback for LabU. Hyperliquid on the shout out from the White House on Thursday, impressive. Light, no new setup there. Palantir, have to stay engaged on that. PLTR, have to stay engaged on the higher low op intra day over 176.5. Breakout, retest. That looks good. Let's keep moving here. What else? Moderna. I mean, again, no real new setup, but good feedback. Dell, nice hammer off the 50. Dell hammer off of the 50 SMA, looking for inside and ups. Good. AXTI, I could see this going either way. I could see this being a really strong bounce off the lows and lose the moving averages and look lower. You could call that like a funky double top under the neckline, or you could say look below and fail. You think optics are going to come back to life. It's something. It's got a huge ATR as well, which I like to respect. So AXTI could see this either way, but if optics / market rebounds, looking for LBAF of MA stack. Just stands for look below and fail of the moving average stack, right? ServiceNow, got to stay engaged on that, but no new setup there. This SMCI is awesome. Looks great through the HVC at 37.65. It's not really a true HVC. It is a high volume close. Don't get me wrong. It's elevated volume, but it's not higher than this, and it's certainly not higher than that. So it's still the right spot, 37.65, but it's not really a, your terminology. Let's give it some leeway. This is trash. Datadog under the range. ANET, kind of broken chart at this point. Net, another really strong pivot. So let's just say net, strong pivot off of the pullback. Let's keep that as a stock to watch. Ondas looks good over that 845 inside bar. It's not my favorite, so I'm probably going to omit. Depends on if there's a drone catalyst in Ondas. Only on a drone catalyst should we look here. And UMAC is the leader of the group with the Don Jr., of course. SoFi trying to get in gear here. Yeah, I mean, SoFi stage 1 base building, it's not terrible if it could claim the 200. It's not ready, but it probably goes somewhere on the watch list to like, hey, pay attention to me. A lot of those names, Webull earnings caused a gap up. Robinhood, of course, gapped up, or at least had a really nice day today. SoFi, FinTech, waking up. especially with some of the Bitcoin stuff going on out there. Fintech waking up. Nice base. Let's keep moving. Workday. You know, the setup's still there at this $200.65 mark. You need to know earnings. You need to know the details of the deal, the buyout that was mentioned. So it's already on the watch list. I'm not going to write it back in. It's already on there. I'm just verbalizing it for the recording here, I guess. HPE is like Dell. Dell is better. No, Dell is not better because HPE is still over this range in here. So let's say HPE inside, yeah, and up. Similar to Dell, but already over the breakout level at 50.25. Good. UiPath looking okay. Yeah, I mean, that's actually beautiful. That's better than okay. That's beautiful. It's not really an active setup, but that is a nice looking chart. It's already on the watch list. Carvana, no thank you. Fig, not terrible. Trying to come out of a base on the weekly. Let's say Fig, watch the base. Fig, watch the base. A lot of these things are in the software space as well. Software is really trying to wake back up. HubSpot, for example. Like, look at this base in here. Right, you're really starting to build out some nice higher lows on the right-hand side. You're getting a little tighter towards this right-hand side. So Hubs, watch the base. HubSpot, you know, is this like the most compelling thing to trade? I don't know, but let's say Fig slash Hubs, HUBS, Hubs. There we go. And let's move forward. Let's go back to that 3 month. There we go. Broken, AEHR. No need to keep that on the list. We'll remove that probably from the existing watch list. Tom Lee waking up. Shout out Tom Lee. Twilio, not bad. Really not bad. Bullish engulfer off the daily 20. Great example of a first test of the 20. Let's say TWLO. First test of the 20 working well. Reclaim of the earnings. Low is next, 227. Good. Trump tasers look awesome. Look at this nice hammer here, AXON. Still looks great. You know, and this is just like we're whittling down the universe into, you know, names that look good within. A lot of this stuff looks good. It doesn't mean every single name is going to be actionable for Monday. It's just like I want to keep my watch list as fresh as possible with the charts that are at least shaping up as being, you know, actionable in the next handful of days potentially, right? So it's always worth kind of keeping that stuff nice and fresh. Zscaler, I could add that technically as well. It's already on there. I could reiterate it, I guess. UMAC, just like Ondas. Let's say Ondas, Ondas slash UMAC. Good, so that's taken care of. I would stay away from the Katos. I would stay away from the AVAV for drones. IT Gartner trades thin as paper. Look at this 5 minute chart. Terrible. Gappy on the 5, but it does have a good look to it. If we go back here, it's a nice little flag at the highs. This is dead. This is tight, but you know, this is software. What's the higher time frame? I mean, a lot of these software bases, they're trying to do something. Let's say, let's just throw this in here. TRI, Thomson Reuters there. Reuters. What else is going on in this scan? This thing looks gnarly. I mean, earnings upcoming, but this thing is gnarly elastic. Still flagging out at highs. What I'm already starting to see is just how many things I'm making notes on. When the notes are this long, like when I already have 20 things that I've written down, I don't know if this is 20 or not, but like, you know, 10, 15, 20 things, that generally means that there's some potential for the market to shape up here, right? If there's nothing that looks compelling, nothing catching your eye, if all these charts look like garbage, then, you know, naturally the market doesn't really have a lot of merchandise to help it move higher. And, you know, that's when things get a little crummy. So this is actually kind of compelling for the broader market. Really nice move on USAR. The rare earths woke up. MP is much better. I don't know if it's hitting the scan, but USAR is a reminder of that. Nice update on volume here through the moving average stack. So we'll make note of that when we need to. This lunar's tight. It's not really a nice setup. It doesn't have like a long base on the daily, so I'm going to pass on that. Nothing here. We're going to start getting into like these single-digit negative or double-digit negative numbers, not really worth looking at. Right? I mean, we should look at them, but they're not really going to be all that lucrative, or they won't yield that much in terms of setups. kind of move quickly. Tempest ripping, absolutely ripping. Look at the volume coming through this thing. I mean, come on, that's just beautiful. What else is in here that's worth paying attention to? MP, there it is. That looks better to me than USAR. So MP, TMC had a day as well. Just gonna add this in like this. USAR, keeping an eye on the materials / rare, or let's just say rare earths theme. Good. Let's keep moving forward. SMR, no thanks. Nukes, right? Quantum's trying to wake up. Should also be kind of keeping an eye out for any short opportunities. It would be nice to balance the portfolio with a short or two here and there if we need it, and if the market gets a little bit more difficult. So we'll kind of keep an open mind. I'm saying that out loud so I remind myself to look for them. Like this Max Linear, for example. If Max Linear wants to bounce back into the daily 50, that might be a short. The only thing I would say is, I'm not going to write that one down, actually, because this would be a higher low. So actually pass on that. What else? Hymns going. It's nice. Hymns. Oops, H. Hymns for health. Just make sure that's on a list somewhere. Again, doesn't necessarily mean it's ready right here, right now, but we shouldn't ignore it. Why is my... There's my dash looking a little bit better. Is there something on my screen? There is. Like looking at that, I'm like, that should be an M dash. Or an N dash, excuse me. M dash is ChatGPT giveaway 101. All right, moving forward. Let's get the... Ooh, what's that? Oklo for nukes. Looking like a short against the overhead supply there. Night-night. Night-night, Oklo. What else is going on here? Marathon. These are all Bitcoin miners turned data centers, so they're interesting, but not really. They shouldn't be rallying with the crypto move we've seen, right? They've kind of separated themselves from that. Circle short. Step in front of the moving freight train, maybe. Good volume on it. I think you just stay engaged on it to build out a cup and handle or like a saucer bottom or whatever, and you just let it flag out in here, and then we're higher again. So no need to write it down. We already got figure at the top, so we'll let that be. Hut, terrible. Looks terrible. Looks absolutely awful. IONQ, not bad. Not bad. Quantum's trying to wake up. IONQ trying to wake up. Let's keep an eye for new setups over the MA stack. Wolf, no good. No. Coinbase, not yet. It's not constructive of a base enough, right? It's like you got to build out more right-hand side. Some of the software stuff already looks way better than this, right? So that's why that's not going to make the cut. Oops. Robinhood is a must-watch over the 50-day. Really waking up there. Hood watching over the 50-day. Oops, day. Let's keep an open mind. Good. Cypher, terrible like Hut. Teradyne, I'm torn on. Through today's high on Monday could be interesting. I like the fact that this is a failed breakdown. So Teradyne, failed breakdown, question mark. There we go. Reddit is terrible. Stay away from that. Strategy going with Bitcoin, huge volume, of course. This looks like a short. Lose the 200 and possibly get paid in the downside here. VRT. Credo, you could argue it's like Teradyne, honestly. You could honestly argue it's very similar to Teradyne there. I'm going to pass on it for now. ARM looks weak. What else is in here? This stuff is bad. This is bad looking. AAOI short. Little head and shoulders. Left, head, right. under the neckline, close the gap. Oracle probably looks long over the 50 SMA. So break today's high tomorrow, aka Monday. You could have upside there on Oracle. I don't think so, Lamb Research. No thank you, Coherent. CoreWeave looks terrible. Applied Materials looks terrible. That sucked, right? Seeing this thing, oh, save me right here, and then completely falling apart. No good. STX trying to hammer, but after a failed breakout, really needs to prove it, right? I could see the argument for a higher low, but you got a lot of work to do there. It's not really an active setup yet. Marvel could be interesting closer to about 225. Another pullback day in here. Marvel daily higher low, question mark. I'm going to type out question mark instead of just writing a question mark. Classic. Yeah, let's just say around 225 area. Question mark. There we go. All right, let's go WDC. This is what makes me think STX isn't great. I mean, this just looks so much worse. It's maybe a higher. It's just not. It's not great. Bloom Energy, no. I think this is tired. I think this builds out the potential for a larger topping formation, right? You got all this overhead supply, lower highs here. Night, lose the 200 SMA. Good night. Nice knowing you. And like it could just be wait for it to break the 200, rally back into it. There's your short, right? That could be the look. So it needs some time. NBIS, I could see a rebreak of this high if the market's ripping. NBIS over 231. It was a prior leader. I don't know if it's going to continue to lead, but low volume on the sell-off today. Pretty aggressive volume on the gap down on Wednesday. NBIS. NBIS, not VIS. NBIS over the 231 mark, but would need to happen almost immediately on Monday. Good. All right. AMD, we've covered already. Intel, SanDisk. SanDisk is like MU. It's trying to find that higher low. Over, it doesn't look bad. MU, there it is, right? Trying to find that higher low, trying to move higher there. That's the $200 million watch list. Let's go on over to the $100 million watch list, which should be shorter. Take a sip in the meantime. And then we'll move into this, and that'll probably do it for tonight's episode of the scan session, the Trade Brigade end of day routine, as we call it. This should load any second now. If it doesn't, I'll have to refresh it. There it goes. All right. Sip has been taken. Let's filter by liquid leader. And much shorter list, so this should take no time. Let's see what's going on here. No, pass on whatever this is. Too many upper wicks, too many failures near the highs. Yeah, not it. FPS failed big time, breaking from this, had a nice pressure cooker top, failed, so no. Fermi, no thanks. Range fishing, not it. Nope. Frog looks excellent. Frog looking excellent off of the 50 and 20 SMA. The problem with Frog is you needed to buy it here. You literally need to be waiting for it at the, not, in a picture perfect world, yes, at the 50 and the 20. But intraday, if you just bought like a VWAP reclaim or something like that, right around in here, right, boom, off to the races. If you bought back through the opening print, not bad. If you bought the moving average cross back through here, if you bought the rebreak of the 50, which is the red one, maybe that does it. So this is a really good look. I'm just not sure if it would have been ideal to already be long from somewhere in this wick, not necessarily on the highs or a break of the multi-day highs. So we'll continue to watch it. It's a software name. Hinge Health looks fantastic. HNGE, good feedback for LabU still. Okay. Oops. Too much of a round trip Fastly. Duolingo, not bad. Software name. How's the base look? It's kind of an ascending base. I don't really like that. I mean, I could see the argument. I'm going to stay away from that Duolingo. I think I already wrote down enough of them with better liquidity profiles anyways. This thing looks good. Just moves like crap. Doesn't have, sorry, excuse my language. It's just very choppy. So IoT, Internet of Things, Samsara. GoDaddy, interesting base. Really tight in here. Are we buying GoDaddy? I like their commercials, but yeah, not really it. Not really. I would pass on that. Looks maxers continue to win. This thing's getting wrecked. Caraman, no good. No. GitLab looks pretty good. It's calling that a higher low pivot in the flag. This is like your first flag out of the base. When I say base, I'm talking about this thing, right? Boom, first flag up and out, question mark. Earnings just around the corner, so be mindful of that. They are on the 1st of September, so a little ways to go. Guidewire, I already have a position here, actually, believe it or not, in this paper thin thing. But yeah, out of the base, fine. Not doing anything wrong. It's naturally on a list because I own it already, so it's fine. Comp failing, but first test of the 50. This could get interesting. Comp, first test of the 50. Good. Let's go back to this. Nope. I mean, just a ripper, but life science name? No thanks. One offering there and you're underwater. This stuff is kind of cash for trash down here. No good. This INFQ is not bad. Inflection. Quantum name. Dave, potential short. 365, still on the radar. Galaxy would have been a beautiful short today. I mean, look no further than the 5-minute chart. My goodness. Rallies into the daily 50. Rejects the VWAP, lower high, and good night. I think this just goes lower. Time to short it was today. Nothing really down here. BitDeer still on watch for a short. Nice 3-day bounce coming from lows. If this wants to look above and fail this. Oops, no, I do want at or above. Look above and fail there at like 12.25 as a short. BTDR, potential short against the 200 SMA. Needs to bounce a little further, obviously. Nothing here. Nothing on this. Keel, no, I'd prefer BitDeer short. ASTS, no good. All right, that's it. That is all the notes from the 2 scanners from this week. We could quickly hit the high volume option scan. Usually reserve this one for the main channel watch list videos, additional trade ideas at the end, optionable stuff that more people might be interested in. We'll buzz through this very quickly. And just like if there's an obvious setup, we'll look at it. But let's take a sip and go through. Okay. We've already seen NVIDIA. We've seen this stuff. Oil and gas names look like they need a breather. XOM. It's ExxonMobil, of course. Merrick with the Moderna stuff. FCX. Let's just quickly look for any nice obvious ideas. Things that we could quickly add to a watch list without too much. Like, it's got to be jumping off the page. Is like, okay, that's obvious. Like this CSX kind of has a low cheat right through here. 5160s. Not too interested in trading railroads, but that's there. What else? Like, we've already seen these names. A lot of the stuff is the core list of companies. Broadcom, Microsoft, Netflix, waking back up, CrowdStrike. I don't know how this didn't hit the high volume scanner originally, but it should be on there. CrowdStrike, nice pivot. Did I write it down? I didn't think so. Let's just say CRWD with rubric. That naturally goes hand in hand, right? The gold names are ripping. Uber doesn't look half bad. Ford, kind of tight. Right, there's your little wedge. Ford getting a little tight, over 1450. Okay. Ethereum just ripping. Happy to have a Gemini credit card. Get some Ethereum rewards. Some cashback Ethereum, sure thing. What else is going on deep through this list? Anything good? Wow, AMC tightening up. I know I'm moving fast, but I mean, you know a good chart when you see one. There's TMC that goes with the rare earths that we wrote down. It's already here, right? TMC. Denison waking up. You see that chart? Uranium had a decent day. What's this? Vale. I thought Vale was an oil and gas name, is it not? Let's quickly check in on Vale. Let's go VALE. Brazilian mining company that produces and exports iron ore and pellets, mostly to steel makers in Asia. Okay. It looks like a short running into the 50-day like that in a downtrend. CCJ waking up for uranium. Let's make note of that. Okay, good. Open door, nope. Oof, tough day on utilities. We already covered that chart, but it looks much more aggressive when you're on a 3-month. What else? BitDeer we already have on the short watch. Anything else through here? UNH? Nah, not enough of a counter trend yet. Walmart getting ready to go counter trend. Doesn't bounce. Maybe. I don't really like bottom fishing in Walmart. That sounds interesting to say the least. You like bottom fishing in Walmart? What else is going on here? That's it. We've seen all these names. Tesla and their stock sell. All right, that's it. Those are the scans. That is what kind of comes out of the scan list. There's quite a bit of stuff in here. You could rewind and sort of see it all. And if you want to just take notes on the notes, those are the notes for a Friday. So thanks for hanging out, and thanks for spending a little bit of your Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever you're watching this, with us here for the Trade Brigade end of day routine for Friday, August 21st. If you enjoy this type of stuff, we literally do this every single day with the group. So Monday through Thursday, we do this exact end of day routine with the group and build a watch list of the latest and greatest swing ideas from the scanner. All you got to do is check out the links down below in the description. You'll find exactly what I'm talking about. You could join us there or not. You could just keep checking in on the Friday editions that we release over on this channel. Hope to see you over on the main channel for our normal Saturday weekly watch list analysis. And with that said, have yourself an awesome rest of the weekend. Have a green trading week ahead. And as always, I will see you in the next one.